Welcome, welcome, Justin. That is your
Molly!
name. So, it is the first Monday in May. No, I'm just kidding. That's the Met Gala. What?
I'm glad you thought I would understand a Met Gala reference. I
Yeah,
feel
yeah, yeah,
profoundly flattered.
yeah. Known. It's a crossover event.
I actually
Um,
turned up. I don't know if you saw me in my lamb chop tuxedo. Just sewed
uh,
a lot of lamb chops together.
that's right. All right. So, talk to me about what this is. We got some jobs reports
Yep.
coming in. We got the jobs report. Those numbers were not bad numbers.
Yeah, it's pretty good, isn't it? So the jobs report came in with 115,000 jobs created this month. You should never look at one number. What I like to do is take an average over the past few months. If you look over the past few months, we're creating about 50,000 jobs a month. That's not as many as your listeners are used to hearing. But here's the encouraging thing. The unemployment rate has gone from slowly drifting up to maybe flat. And so the thing to understand here is the decrease in immigration has led to virtually no population growth in the United States. And
Is that bad?
previously,
That sounds bad.
that's a really good question that I'm going to take as a separate question because it's so deep. But that population growth, well, what it means is employers are not, if you open a new store, one of the sources of new customers was new human beings. We don't have as many new human beings. But it also then means we don't need to create as many jobs. And so while the jobs number looks bad, the thing to keep your eye on is the unemployment rate. It's roughly flat. So things are not amazing, things are not terrible, and I am still holding my breath
Why are you still holding your breath?
because I worry about people. I want people to have rich, full, successful lives full of dignity and getting to do things they love and provide for those they love. I want them to find
Right.
people and things and passions they
That
love.
okay, that's the macro, but why are you still holding your breath on the micro?
Oh, and the economy? On
Yes.
everything? We're in the middle of a war. There's not a long history of wars being good for humanity.
Right.
We're in the middle of a trade war. There's not a long history of those being good for economies. Um, and without wanting to be partisan, I have a sense that you might be a little partisan, Molly.
Not
I don't know.
me.
No, I don't have great faith in the administration. And so
Mm.
we've bumped from crisis to crisis, which means when the data says, hey, things may not be so bad, I remember that data are noisy. And sometimes you feel reassured today, and then the floor falls out underneath you again tomorrow. And in a world in which we've seen the president start a trade war, try to fire the Fed chief, and undermine central bank independence, in which we've seen a movement try to undermine an election, in which we've started a war without congressional approval, I just don't know what comes next. And so, yeah, I'm holding my breath.
You talk about unemployment because it seems like unemployment, those numbers, they can go down,
They
but it can
can.
also be people not looking for a job, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Let me actually start with the most important thing. I was very surprised this morning, but it's the state of the world. I saw many, many liberals on social media saying, well, this happened in the numbers. Do you believe the numbers? And I know you and I have talked about this before, but I want to remind people that the unemployment numbers are still utterly plausible.
Right.
By which I mean, I know a lot of people on the inside who are collecting these numbers and they're using serious, scientific, honest approaches to measurement, and there is no direct White House intervention.
Right. I know this is something we've talked about before, but you could understand why people would feel that way because Donald Trump did fire the head of the Bureau of Labor and Statistics.
And also not just that, which is the man is a fire hose of lies, which,
Right.
which once upon a time that would have been thought to be a partisan thing to say, and now it's literally a fact.
No, it
Um,
is.
and I think there's a profound tearing of our fabric as a result because it is. I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist and say they meant this all along. I can tell the difference, but I spend my whole day looking at numbers. For
Right.
regular folks, I've told them you can believe what comes out of the BLS.
Right.
And then this afternoon, the Treasury Secretary will just say a bunch of bullshit. Or
Right.
literally over the past couple of days, we've had the Energy Secretary and the Transportation Secretary say no one has done more to get energy prices down than Donald Trump. while standing next to a gas pump charging $4.50 a gallon due to a war that the president started in the Middle East. And so historically, those folks were bound by truth. And so when serious people wearing serious suits said things, they deserve to be taken seriously. So when I say, so that information environment's just fractured. The idea that people are attached to truth is gone, which then makes the job of regular folks so much harder, which is that person can be trusted, that person can't, that person can, that person can't. And so
Right.
what I'm telling you as an insider, as someone who sort of studies this a lot, is the official economic statistics can be trusted, but I'm not telling you to believe a word that any cabinet member says anytime ever.
Right. So the official numbers are still good, but the cabinet is just bonkers as usual.
I think
Right? Fair?
yeah, I'm an economist. I do not evaluate other people's mental health.
Right. But
Um,
they're not, you can't necessarily take those numbers to the bank.
yeah.
Talk to us about you wrote a piece for the Times that I read this morning that was
How exciting was
um
that? Did you just wake up and you're reading the New York Times and were you like, "I know that bloke.
no, you sent it to me. But also I read the opinion
Did I do
section
that?"
because I too write for the opinion section,
Yeah,
not
but you get
to make
paid
this
for it,
about me.
and
You get
you're
paid for it too, don't you?
oh, yeah, a little bit, but, you're aren't you a culture editor? That's
No, I'm not in
amazing.
anything. I just write there. But I want
I wanna talk about your beat because yours sounds way cooler than mine.
so you did this piece. I'm just going to ignore you now. This is what happens when you're very when you get in trouble on this podcast, they just ignore you. So you wrote this piece about the cost of the war, and Pete had said that this may have like sort of fallen through the couch cushions this week, but Pete Hegseth did a video about the cost of the war that had a really high number of about $15 billion, which seems like something you wouldn't want to advertise. And in fact, it's actually probably a lot more.
Right, actually, so his number was 25,000,000,000.
Oh,
Um,
25,000,000,000,
yeah,
sorry. 10,000,000,000 too little. I mean,
I
why advertise? That seems like a lot of money. That's
oh, good,
25
so
ballrooms.
I am going true, wow. We could have a ballroom in every pot. It'd be
That's
great.
right. That's
You know,
right.
Ann Arbor doesn't have enough good ballrooms.
That's right.
I was thinking of going to a ball last night. I wasn't. But
25 packs taxpayer funded ballrooms. That's right.
but that's a good number of ballrooms. What would
Yeah.
you prefer though, Molly? One just really good wall or 25 ballrooms?
That's right. So go on. I would rather have the ballrooms, and I think they'd be better for I think you'd make more money on the ballrooms.
You heard
Go.
that here
Yes.
first. Molly Jong-Fast
That's right.
pro ballroom.
Ballroom. Yes. Continue.
Okay.
Go.
So actually I want to pause because I think this is actually a really, really important piece of economics. And Molly, I'm going to be rude and say you got it wrong.
Please.
The most when okay, so here's the backdrop. The human mind is almost incapable of understanding the difference between millions, billions, and trillions. We don't encounter these numbers. They're unimaginably large. Anytime, therefore, a politician uses one of those numbers, it's because they intend to obfuscate. So
Mm-hmm.
what an economist does, anytime we get one of those numbers, we realize it's uninterpretable. Let's make it human. Here's a way of making it human. There are 330 million Americans, which is really good because if every American pays $3, that adds up to $1 billion. If the war cost 25 billion, that means it's a cost of $75 per American.
Right.
So 25 billion, I've watched my liberal friends go out and say, oh, 25 billion, this is outrageous. We could have bought 25 ballrooms. But actually, your point that it's 25 ballrooms is the point. It's not
Right.
that much,
Right.
right? So, and the point I want to impress upon the audience, and here I apologize, I'm a college professor. I'm going to do the teaching because that's what I do. Every
Mhm.
time you hear one of these numbers, you have to scale it in a way that you can make sense of it. So it turns out the 25 billion is not that much. It's also bullshit, technical term.
Mm.
The point of the op-ed is actually to say, what question is $25 billion the answer to? And what question do you care about? And it turns out they're completely different.
Mhm.
$25 billion is how much we've more or less spent on bombs and moving a few troops around and stuff like that. And depreciation on aircraft, and a few aircraft have gone down. By the way, you might be thinking, how can we spend that much on bombs? Some of our bombs are 2 million bucks a pop, right? So you
Mhm.
throw a few of them out there and all of a sudden you're talking real money, right? That's the sole cost of it. That's all it's including. So that's a little bit like saying, What is the cost of a family dog? Well, I went to the pound and he cost $200.
Right.
But the thing about a dog is he transforms your life in all sorts of other ways, many of which are expensive, and I'm dealing with expensive vet bills right now. And actually, the same thing is true of war. So the 25 billion is the answer to a question no one ever asked, which is how much do we spend on bombs? The question I think most people care about is how much is this damn war costing us? How much worse off am I and my fellow countrymen and people around the world as a result? And that's when you have to realize this war didn't just cost us in bombs. It has transformed the global economy. It's transformed the American economy. For instance, the Fed was going to cut rates before, now it's not because of the inflation coming out of the war. That right there, by the way, I ran it through a little the Fed's macroeconomic model. It's the sort of thing I do for fun. That right there is worth $200 billion, just that effect, right? We have good estimates of the effect of geopolitical risk on the economy. It's likely
Right.
that this rise in geopolitical risk will lead to $200 billion less output and hundreds of thousands of fewer jobs. We can look at what has happened to the stock market, and a reasonable estimate is that stocks are about 5% lower as a result of this war. You see that because
Mhm.
every time the president's aggressive, stocks fall. And
Right.
every time he backs off, stocks rise. And if you took that seriously, that would suggest overall stocks are about 5% lower than they would otherwise be. That's $3 trillion right there. If the world has become a more dangerous place because of our geopolitical strategies, and the president believes that it has, then we have to spend more on defense. And the president believes we do because he just put forward a defense budget for next year in which he wants to raise spending on defense from 900 billion to 1500 billion. So now he wants to spend 600 billion more on defense just next year.
Right.
All of these numbers are boring, but the most important thing I want you to notice is they're all many times larger than 25 billion. The point, this is the way real world economics works, messy economics in messy economic times, is any way you try to pencil out the costs of this war, you realize that the cost is hundreds of billions and
Mhm.
possibly trillions.
Right.
So, Molly, you were talking about a nice collection of ballrooms. Now I'm talking about a shit ton of ballrooms.
Yeah.
And then if we want to turn it into what does this mean for the American people, for the typical household, it means the cost of this war is to be measured in thousands of dollars and maybe tens of thousands of dollars. And that hopefully gets people's attention.
It also what you talk about in this piece is that it also is measured in all sorts of other metrics, like it's financial insecurity, financial instability, which means less investment. Like there are metrics that you can't even really measure.
Right. So I'm not going to pretend that I've found a way of counting every cost. What I can tell you is every time I start looking at them, they turn out to be hundreds of billions. And the idea that Hegseth is right at $25 billion is absurd on its face. The whole thing's misdirection, bullshit, and nonsense.
Right.
And then I want to take off my economist hat. Can I put on my dad hat?
Sure.
I remember the day the president tweeted that he was going to wipe another country off the face of the earth.
Mhm.
And I sat down with my 13-year-old son, and he was distressed. I was distressed. It's terrifying, the idea that someone would, in our name, threaten to wipe a civilization off the face of the earth.
Yeah.
It's inhumane. It's not the qualities I've ever taught my son.
Mhm.
I don't ever want to have to defend it. I never
Yep.
will. And my son is, at a profound level, forever changed. You can't take back the idea that humans would say that to other humans. And there's a beauty about childhood and children that was destroyed. And I'm not talking really about my son. I am, but I know that there's millions of other dads out there. And so that
Right.
scene got played out in family after family all around the country. And a sense of coarseness and comfort with the unimaginable. I can't pencil out a number for you on that, Molly, but I don't want to lose sight of how important that is.
Right now, we are sort of in this crazy moment where we have the Fed is, you know, we got I mean, there's a lot going on right now. But
Best
um
soap opera of the year. I don't even watch TV anymore. I just watch The Fed. It's terrific.
Right. And they're not going to lower rates, probably.
No.
Trump is not going to get what he wants, I think, is the net of it.
I think that
What do
remains unclear, to be
well,
on
he's not going to
point.
get them to lower rates, which is what he wanted.
He is gonna get handsome Kevin in.
Yes, he's
So
getting handsome Kevin in,
and
and but
I think
Jerome
it's
Powell's staying.
but Jerome Powell used to be handsome.
Re-
When he announced Powell, he said that Powell was handsome, more handsome than Janet Yellen. So
yeah.
now we got 2 handsome blokes.
What are you watching? Like, it still seems like the stock market is exuberant, the bond market is anxious, and the gas prices are still high.
Yeah.
So for now, we're sort of the S&P is delighted with anything, but can that just keep going like that?
I'm just trying to imagine what life is like living in New York. Do people in New York just walk around talking about the stock market all the time? Because
Wh-
most people think I'm intensely boring,
I
and
mean, I
what do you
read the Wall Street Journal, so
oh, you
I
despite being a New York Times op-ed contributor,
I read the Journal of the FT, The Economist, so I know what's
you were
happening.
remarkably well read.
Well, that's my kind of my job. So I
Are
so
you gonna
but
tell us about your undergraduate transcript too?
I
I
didn't
mean,
go to
sounds
college. I didn't go to
really?
college. No, I didn't go to
Seriously?
college. I have nothing. Did not go to college.
Is that true?
Yeah. I have a
Oh.
master's. I have an MFA from Bennington. And
Oh,
I'm
I
going to
didn't go to
but
college, but I have a master's degree. Alright.
yeah, but it's a master's of fine arts. I've never done like a math class. I wouldn't even know how to do it. So, but anyway, what do you, Jesse is getting really irritated by our banter. So, like, it just feels like we're in a very precarious moment. And you said this earlier in this
I'm holding
interview.
my breath. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
But
am holding my breath.
what are the sort of indicators that you're looking at? Like,
Right.
Trump is clearly trying to
Yeah,
get gas prices
yeah.
lower.
Yeah, he's not
That
going
is
to.
not going to happen.
No.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So, I am holding my breath.
Yeah.
Every day I do. And the weird thing, by the way, is I remember all of 3 years ago, I would do an interview or a podcast, and I could just walk in and know it cold. And today, I have to check what's going on in the last 15 seconds
Right.
because we might have accidentally bombed another country.
That's a Trump thing. Yeah.
Um, so I think the overwhelmingly most important economic issue right now is the war in Iran. It's also incredibly difficult to track in any standard sense.
Right.
The president announces something, the Iranian leadership announces something else. And there was a time I knew which one of those two was the truth teller, and that is no longer true. So the president has announced success 7 times, and the Iranians keep saying he never called. And I kind of believe them, like he doesn't seem like a guy who calls you back.
And there's reporting. I mean, the reporting. I was on Morning Joe with Rhodes, and David Rhodes was talking about how the Saudis didn't know that he was trying to reopen the straits because nobody told them, and that they closed the airspace because they were like, "What the fuck is this?"
It's amazing some people don't spend their days on Truth Social.
If MBS were just watching Fox News,
Yeah.
you would have known.
But I think that that information environment means it's very hard to track. But if you care about the economy, it's the most important thing to track. And so then that means this actually means I'm going to be a lot more like a New Yorker right now, which is I do follow financial markets closely. And it's not because I'm cheering for the stock market. It's not even that I care about the stock market.
You
It's that
don't
I
even own
know
any stocks, right?
I have a mutual fund, a
I,
retirement fund. Do I?
I,
Am I going? I think I have a
I
retirement account.
You told because remember you told me you guys never owned stocks. Anyway, go on.
Not
Yes, yes,
individual
yes.
stocks,
Yes,
but I have
yes.
a retirement account.
Yeah.
And wow, you're trying to get me in so much trouble.
Well, you just
Um,
said you didn't
I'm a job creator.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Alright, go on.
Why don't I get any respect? Um,
None.
I'm tracking financial markets because you've got sophisticated people betting on the future of the economy through financial markets. I'm tracking them at the same time as I'm tracking the oil market. And actually, if you want to track the oil market, you don't track the spot price. That's oil being bought and sold today because that's affected by a lot of stuff like shipping and so on. It's a really good idea to track something like the futures price, which, by the way, is
Right.
actually remarkably easy to find online.
Yes.
Um, and think about that as an index of, are we getting good news out of Iran or bad news? You could interpret it in more complicated ways, but if you wake up and you say, you read something like the president just announced there was some operation over the last couple of days where apparently he announced,
Operation Enduring Freedom.
yeah, which like it didn't endure and it wasn't freedom.
It's
And the
really
way I know that,
Operation Ignore the Ceasefire.
yeah, it was Operation Press Release, right? He
Right.
said, "I've got an operation, and here's the deal. Everyone can go through the Strait of Hormuz.
Yeah.
When I haven't told the Iranians,
No.
and we're not gonna escort you, but you can go through because I told you.
Yeah.
And this will surprise you." Everyone said in return, "No."
Yeah.
So Operation Enduring Freedom literally achieved nothing. But
Yeah.
for the audience, the important point here is if you wanted to assess that for yourself, the way to have done that was to look at oil price futures.
Right.
Because when they didn't improve, that's when you can tell people betting on the outcome of this war think the president's just saying nonsense rather than doing something. Now, there may be some moment where it's Operation Really Enduring Freedom where he does something. And
Right.
the easiest way to tell is gonna be by tracking what happens to financial markets. They're not gonna get it perfect, but it's less bad than the alternative of listening to the administration.
Justin Wolfers, will you come back?
Always. Can't wait.